All right, welcome to an objective and scientific analysis of how all of the Enneagram types and their wings stack up in the current 2023 meta. I'm going to be evaluating them based on their ability to climb the leaderboards and become the most powerful players. So yeah, let's get into it. Coming in at dead last, we've got our double withdrawns, our cryptids. That's our 4-wing 5 and 5-wing 4. Where are you? There you are. These suffer from the withdrawn debuff twofold, more than any other player in the player base, and really aren't commonly used outside of some incredibly niche, unviable builds such as the Mortician or the Harsh Noise Musician. I'm putting 4-wing 5s a little bit above 5-wing 4s though, just because they have an incredibly situational ability, but also one that's very powerful, where they can instantly defeat any 9-wing 1 player when facing off against them in the online forum server. Basically taking advantage of a glitch where 9-wing 1 players will actually believe that they're playing a 4-wing 5. It's really rare that you can pull this off, but it's entertaining to watch when it happens. Coming in at the bottom of D tier, we got the 2-wing 1, the only dedicated support build in the game, which unfortunately also means that they're terrible. 7-wing 6 and 9-wing 8 are also going in D tier for basically the same reason, which is that they're kind of like the two ADHD to function builds. The way their wings and core type are structured make it hard for these types to use the focus ability to generate the productivity necessary to adequately climb the leaderboards. Moving into C tier, we got 6-wing 5s and 5-wing 6s. I'll put the 5-wing 6 a little ahead, just because they've got some extra like hexad confidence, but they're basically the same build, which is min-maxing intelligence at the detriment of all other stats. Unfortunately, this isn't really a very effective strategy in the current meta because the vast majority of the player base doesn't value the intelligence stat, which means that they have all these great ideas and nobody to adopt them, rendering them fairly ineffective. Moving on, we got the 7-wing 8 and the 2-wing 3. Kind of weird putting them side by side, but they're basically in the same category of kind of weak core types that are elevated slightly by pretty strong assertive wings, which kind of balances them out and makes them kind of the true average of average types. Moving to slightly above average, we got the 4-wing 3. 4-wing 3s are interesting because they're actually probably the least withdrawn type. Of course, this is going to depend on their tri-type and other stats, but just as a baseline, they're generally a little bit less withdrawn than 9s and 5s, which are more withdrawn in that conventional, like, not being able to do anything sense. Whereas what the 4s are doing is they're actually withdrawing their image from you in a sort of like elitism way. But 4, especially with the 3-wing, is able to accomplish a lot more as a result of this sort of like weird pseudo withdrawn. Does that make them powerful? No. But if you are insistent upon playing a withdrawn build, there are worse options. Or probably the strongest withdrawn build, I'm going to put 9-wing 1. Obviously, it massively varies because it's one of the most versatile builds in the game. In fact, the majority of the player base actually choose to play a 9-wing 1 build. However, versatility does not necessarily correlate with strength, so you have a lot of powerful 9-wing 1s and a lot of really weak ones. It honestly just really depends. So I'm going to put them exactly where they belong, but probably don't want to be the upper end of average. Moving on to B tier, we got our 1s, 1-wing 2 and 1-wing 9. I'm going to put 1-wing 2 a little bit lower than 1-wing 9 just because they are vulnerable to falling into that trap of playing a support build, which nobody wants to do, of course. But these types are able to adopt a pretty similar strategy between the two of them. That's pretty effective, taking advantage of their gut type confidence in themselves and volition to sway people to agree with them. Unlike the 5-wing 6 and 6-wing 5s, which min-max the intellectual class or stat, The one wing 9s and 1 wing 2s will min-max the far more useful pseudo-intellectual stat, which a lot of the player base value, and they can use it to play a fairly strong leader class. Moving into the kind of getting into the upper end of B tier, this will surprise some people because the player base for this type are some of the whiniest and most vocal about how they need buffs, but I'm actually going to put the 6 wing 7s in B tier. Out of all the builds in the entire game, they were the only ones to benefit from the rise of the internet update, where they basically took advantage of their collectivistic nature to build online communities where they could circle jerk and validate each other's most harebrained takes, which in this current 2023 meta is putting them ahead of the majority of the player base. Top of B tier though, I think that spot's going to belong to 3 wing 4. 3s are just really strong. The double benefit of being an attachment type and an assertive type is kind of unbeatable in a lot of situations. However, they're held back a little bit by their 4 wing. It can kind of harm their likability, but as they say, they hate you because they ain't you. 3 wing 4s could probably use some slight nerfs, but they're in a pretty good spot right now. And similarly to 6 wing 7s, I think going forward they should try to balance other classes around those instead of trying to nerf them substantially, at least. Moving into A tier, we got our 8s, 8 wing 7 and 8 wing 9. I think I'm going to put 8 wing 9 a little bit ahead of the 8 wing 7 just because they're a little bit more balanced, kind of an all-rounder build, whereas the 8 wing 7's more of like a dedicated offensive class. But you can't really go wrong with this build again. They're hated by most of the player base for a very good reason. They're fairly overpowered, honestly. They end up being a lot of dictators and crime bosses. The only thing that really holds them back is this unlikability, so oftentimes other players will band together to take them down, but that alone is also testament to how strong these builds truly are. And then moving into S tier, you know it, you love it, the 3 wing 2 build. Yeah, not much else to say. This build needs massive nerfs. Attachment plus assertive is an absolutely overpowered combination, and the 2 wing kind of adds some like rejection energy as well as likability to make them simultaneously more likable and more like steadfast in their volition and confidence. It's really strong, and honestly, I don't know what the devs were thinking with this class. Literally the only drawback to playing this build is they can suffer from the out of touch with their feelings debuff. But honestly, that doesn't really matter in the context of climbing the leaderboards. I mean, who cares if you don't even know who you are or what you truly want? You're a winner, baby. Anyways, that concludes my 2023 ranking of all the Enneagram types. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Thanks.